Hey everyone, it's Rita with Everything Homemade, and I'm out in my herb garden, and today I'm going to show you how to harvest hyssop. Hyssop's one of my favorite herbs. I know I have a lot. I grow about 10 main herbs, and hyssop is one of those 10 that I grow year after year. One, it's a perennial, so I love that. I'm in zone 2 and it comes back year after year. So that's a big bonus. The other thing is this herb is so good for respiratory. It opens up the airways, and it just is awesome for colds, for flus, for people with asthma or any kind of respiratory problems. It's also good for skin conditions. It's just such a great herb, and the best thing of all, it tastes delicious. Harvesting hyssop is actually really straightforward, simple to do. The very first thing you want to do is when you harvest any kind of herb, and I know you've heard me say this again, but I want to make sure that every video that I'm harvesting herbs, that this is known because it's so important, is that you harvest first thing in the morning. Now you see the sun is hitting my face, and it is about 9:30 in the morning, and it's just such a beautiful day, and this is perfect for harvesting. And you want to harvest in the morning because all the energy from the plants that was in the roots overnight go up into the plant, and you get the highest quality harvest and health benefits within that plant if you harvest in the morning. Now I like to harvest morning or up till about 2 p.m. After 2 p.m. I don't like to harvest because the plant is actually slowly drawing that energy back into the roots to go to bed later that evening. So that's the best time. The other thing is most cases in general, I'm going to say, because there's always exceptions to the rule, but most cases when you are harvesting herbs like this, that you're harvesting the leaves of it, you want to do it before they go into flower. So because then the energy puts then the plant puts all that energy into the flowers instead of into the growth and leaves, and usually the quality of the health benefits from that plant decrease. Chamomile, because you're harvesting the flowers, you actually are waiting for that one to go into flower. While with hyssop, you don't want it to go into flower before you do your first harvest, because of what I just said. So there are some exceptions to the rule, and chamomile is a very good example of that, because you're actually harvesting for the flowers. All the tools you need to harvest this herb is a good pair of scissors. These are outdoor scissors, so they're quite strong and easy to use for harvesting herbs. I just have a big bowl here, and you can use a pail, anything like that, just something where you can hold the amount of herb that you're thinking that you're going to harvest. This is really nice this year. Have had optimal conditions for growth. We've had sun, we've had rain. So I'm very thankful and grateful for that this year, as it has been a very beautiful summer. Not too hot, but not super cold. So it's night and day from what it was last year as a scorcher where everything just fried. Okay, so what I'm looking for is when I'm harvesting is, you see these wonderful new growth. They're beautiful and green, and I'm gonna just lift it up here, and you can see some of the areas that have a woodier stem. that I don't want to harvest, but that's how low I'm probably going to cut, is about right here. So these are going to be about 8 inches tall in length when I'm cutting, because they're so beautiful. And you can see as well is that they're just starting to want to make their flower buds, so they haven't quite opened them yet, which makes this the perfect time to cut it. Now I only cut my hyssop once per year. I cut it right now so that way it has 2 months to regrow and to go into flower and to create seed and start the process all over. Plus the bees absolutely love this patch. Like, they go nuts over this, and so I really like to have that fall feeding for the bees as well. So that's what we're doing here. I'm going to use my scissors. We're going to go from the bottom and we are going to cut, put in our bowl, and then we're going to head inside, give it a quick rinse, put it on dehydrator trays, and I'll show you that step by step. So first, let's harvest this beautiful herb. So I got a really good harvest, and I left that last plant because I looked at my bowl and I have a ton of wonderful herb, and I can only use so much. So I'm actually going to leave that last plant to also go into flower, and I'll collect seed this year from it because they're growing so strong, so beautiful. So I want some for seed and I want to have some for winter drinking. So this is what we got today. Isn't it gorgeous? Absolutely beautiful. I mean, this is jam-packed. There is tons of cups of tea in here. And so I'm going to take this inside and I'm going to put it on the dehydrator. So now that I'm in the kitchen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a tea towel here. I'm just going to fold it in half and put it on my counter because my sink's right here. And then I'm going to put my dehydrator trays on it. And my dehydrator trays do have a screen. So they have a screen on there so no dried leaves will fall through the holes. So what I'm going to do is wash and stack them up here, but that way the tea towel is to get any drips of water so I don't have a big puddle on my counter, and my sink's right here. So this is my quick setup. So as I'm doing this, I'm looking for weeds, I'm looking for anything, and what I don't want to do is I don't want to rub these leaves, because when you rub them, you release the oils and the scent and the wonderful goodness that's in the herb. So in this case, you want to be careful and treat them carefully. I'm using cold water, and then I'm just going to kind of put them on the tray as best as I can. If you need to cut them in half, if they're too long, then do so. So I'm looking for little twigs like that that don't need to be in here. I am noticing that this year these are particularly long and they are kind of falling over. Like if you take a look here, they kind of fall over. So what I am going to do is just cut them in half so they fit a little better in my tray. Now, the nice thing with hyssop is that the stems are flavorful as well. So you can actually use the stems and the leaves, which makes it so much easier in storage because you don't have to take all the leaves off the stems. So unlike, let's say, a herb like stevia where the stems are fairly bitter and don't have much flavor, you have to just harvest the leaves. It's easier to harvest the leaves first. So this is actually really nice because you're making tea out of it, and therefore you can use the whole aerial part of the plant. So I'm also taking off this woody area that maybe got in there, so I can put one more thing. I can put one more bundle right here, and I'm going to do that. And that's about all I want to do. I don't want to stack them too thick, unlike some other herbs, because you also are drying the stem. Now, hyssop does take a little bit of time to dry over, let's say, just the leaf, because you are drying that stem. And so expect, 2 to 3 days on the lowest temperature of your dehydrator will go is what you need to dry this herb at. So I'm going to continue doing this. I'm going to fill all my trays up, and then I'm going to put it on my dehydrator. Make sure you put your dehydrator on the lowest setting, and I stress this, 95 Fahrenheit, 35 Celsius. So that's what you want to put it at. You don't want it any hotter. You just want to dry these and keep as much health benefits and as green as the plant can be when it's dried. That's the best. Okay, so we're about 3 days later, and you can see how dry the hyssop looks. So let's do a test. You grab some and listen. That's what I want. I want those stems to snap. And now it's time to get it off the tray. So what we're gonna do is, once again, I have my big bowl here. We're gonna dump them in. If you see strawberries in the background, those are for our strawberries. Aren't they gorgeous? We're having such a harvest. We're harvesting that every single day right now for the last 4 days. So things are going in the freezer. Everything's just so awesome. Okay, back to the herb. You want to grab a bowl that's big enough that your tray can just go in. So when you dump your herb out, everything's in the bowl. So basically, no mess. Nice and easy. Again, the next tray, dump it. And if you notice here, look at, I even dried a dandelion leaf. Dandelions have lots of good health properties, so I'm not worried about that at all. And that's the last tray. So this is a very big bowl, and this is enough hyssop to last us throughout the winter, family of 8. So there is a lot of tea here. And what I have here is a big olive jug. It seals really nice, and this is where I store it in. I usually can get this almost all the way full, so that's pretty awesome. And what's nice is that you can make tea out of the stems and leaf. I think I already said that, but I'll just repeat it again. So there's no, taking all the leaves off the stem. This is really easy. So you just grab your hyssop, and what I like to do is I like to put it into my jug whole, and then I just go inside the jug and break it up. That way, the mess and all the little fine leaves fall right into my jug, and I just make less mess. and then when I go to actually make the tea myself, I'll just break it up a little finer and put it in a bag or put it loose, then strain it out. A lot of times I make a huge pot full of tea because we are a family of 8, so I usually make like 3 gallons of tea at a time, and then I just strain it out. So I'm just going to continue working on that, getting all this wonderful herb into my container. Remember to always store your herbs in an airtight container, in a cool room, and out of any kind of direct sunlight. Preferably even using containers that are dark works really well, but the cooler the room, the better it is. And light is always works against you when it comes to herbs. So just remember that. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Happy harvesting, and I will see you on the next video.